I am here to talk about a very serious issue. I will not joke about it. There's nothing funny. A couple of days ago, Mr. Dwayne Wade and his beautiful wife, Gabrielle Union, accepted an NAACP Image Award on behalf of their biologically born son. Not Gabrielle's biologically born son, she's just the stepmother, but a child who was born, Zion Wade, as a biological male 15 years ago, was just granted the legal right to change both his gender and his name. And this, for some, is a cause of celebration. Not only am I wearing my activist hat as I discuss this most sensitive and controversial issue, but I'm putting on my doctor of clinical psychology hat. I'm putting on my child therapist hat. I'm putting on my educator hat. I'm putting on my certified school psychologist hat. Now, there's two comments that Dwayne Wade made in his acceptance speech that I'm having trouble with. And I want to say right from the gate, I'm not here to pile on to all of the other criticism that the Wades are receiving as a result of this situation. I feel how I feel, but I think I feel it for different reasons. Because as a statesman for the African race, any type of scheme or scam, campaign or agenda ran on African children that threatens the survival of our people is something I have to speak out against. And so I'm going to offer my comments and criticism with the greatest respect. And I want to affirm that I do not support, encourage, nor condone violence against any human being for reason of race, class, culture, religion, sexual orientation, or sexual preference. Zion Wade should not be harmed, no matter how much we may disagree with that child's parent allowing this to happen. No homosexual, no lesbian, no bisexual, no transgender, no intersex or asexual person should be harmed for what they have done. I do not support violence against LGBTQ or against anybody else. No way, no how, I don't support it. I disagree with the lifestyle, but I do not advocate violence against anyone, and I want to make this very clear. Because when we have these conversations with the rainbow community, there's always this agenda to try to turn people who disagree with the rainbow agenda into people who wish harm against the rainbow people. That is a lie, it is dishonest, and it is disingenuous, and I would hope that members of the rainbow community would have enough maturity to not try to paint people as enemies just because they don't support your decision. With that being said, I'm concerned that the NAACP, although a white-funded, founded, and controlled organization, I have a problem with the fact that the NAACP would give an award to a child and his family. I have a problem with the fact that the NAACP would give an award to a child and his family for undergoing mutilation of their reproductive organs. I have a problem with that. I have a problem. All the things black children are doing out here worthy of recognition. All of the things black children are doing out here worthy of recognition. All of the things black children are doing out here worthy of recognition. You have black children inventing things. You have black children scoring extremely high on these white racist standardized tests. You have black children saving people's lives. You have black children starting their own businesses and becoming multimillionaires. You have black children out here engaging in some of the greatest humanitarian work we have ever seen, but you don't award them. You don't highlight that. Instead, you highlight a confused child who has been allowed by parents and society to physically mutilate himself, destroy forever his God-given obligation to reproduce himself, and the NAACP is going to hold that example up as the example of a hero. That organization has never been what we needed it to be. I used to be a member. I started a chapter in college, and I'm officially done with the NAACP until there is a change of direction. You've never been a revolutionary group. You spend all your time and money registering black people to go vote for white people. You do nothing else. You fight against nothing relevant, but you found time to create an award for a child abuse victim who was allowed by parents and society to mutilate himself sexually and change into something that God did not intend him to be. This is insane. And what makes this situation even more ridiculous is the fact that in the field of psychology, which I've studied for nearly 30 years, probably more than, in the field of child psychology, we are taught expressly that children don't know who they are, that children will flirt and fantasize about all types of identities that they want to assume. And that adolescence and pre-adolescence is a time for children to explore who they are becoming, not to select it. If you read the books on child development put out by white psychologists and child development experts, it tells you children don't know who they are. And they have to go through the growing pains to find out who they are. So you want me to believe that 𝚂𝚗𝙺, a biological boy, turned 11 or 12 years old, and all of a sudden, he's able to defy all logic and common sense as it relates to child development. And at the age of 11 or 12, he now knows as a biological preteen. He started going through this as a preteen, as a biological preteen. He's now intelligent enough and worldly enough and experienced enough to make a decision as a preteen that I don't want to have children as a man. I don't want to live as a man. And I want to spend the rest of my life as an artificial female. You are out of your mind. How can we see this as healthy? How can we see this as normal? No disrespect to you, Dwayne Wade. No disrespect to you, Gabrielle Union. And to little Zion, no disrespect to you. I don't hold Zion Wade responsible for what has been done to you at all. You are a child, and your parents and your community should have never allowed you to make this decision as a child. Should you have chosen to do so upon your 18th birthday, they have no control. But as a teenager, you're only 15. You started going through this process at 11 or 12, a preteen. You had no right to do this. I do not fault you, Zion. I hold you not responsible at all. It is the job of parents to guide our children into who they are supposed to be. Which takes me to a comment that Dwayne Wade made during the acceptance speech. Which takes me to a comment that Dwayne Wade made during his acceptance speech. D. Wade said, quote, "As your father, my job is not to direct your future." Excuse me? As your father, my job is not to direct your future. Excuse me? As your father, my job is not to direct your future. Excuse me, Mr. Dwayne Wade. Yes, it is. It is the job of parents to direct children's futures while they are children. Yes, it is. What do you mean it's not your job to direct your child's future? Yes, it is. What is your definition of a parent, may I ask? What is your definition of a parent, may I ask? What is your definition of a parent, may I ask? And then you go on to say, brother, quote, my role is to be a facilitator of your hope, your wishes, and your dreams. My role is to be a facilitator of your hope, your wishes, your dreams. Yes, Dwayne, as long as they coincide with our culturally affirmed norms and expectations for black boys and black men. A black father's job is not to stand by, let the child think they know what they want to do, and then support the child in whatever they do, even at the cost of their physical health and psychological sanity. You are not there as an escort. You are a guiding leader in the life of your child. You're not an escort. You're talking like your job is just to escort your son through life and let him do whatever the hell he wants. If that's the case, why do we need parents at all? Why don't we just let children live on their own at the age of 7 or 8 or 9 when they're old enough to feed themselves and go to the bathroom and walk? Why do children need parents? Why do they need parents? Why can't they just go live on their own? Because according to your logic, Dwayne Wade, it's not your job to direct your son's future. It's not your job to direct his future. Your job is to facilitate his wishes and dreams. You're telling me as a black man, your job is to facilitate your biological son's wish and dream to become a woman. I know you know better than that. I know you know better than that. And Gabrielle Union, you seem extremely happy and elated to be the stepmom of this confused young man. I don't know what you went through in your life, but I have never seen a black woman so happy to push sexual confusion on a child that is not even her own biologically. Something's wrong here. We need some deep-seated African cultural therapy, because this is a cultural issue. We need some African cultural therapy. This is exactly why we cannot forget who we are. This is exactly why we can't throw away our culture. This is exactly why we cannot allow children to make adult decisions. Isn't it ironic that Zion Wade is old enough to change his gender? He's old enough to decide he wants to be a woman, but he ain't old enough to buy a gun. He ain't old enough to vote. He ain't old enough to do a whole bunch of things. But society says he's old enough to decide to live his life as a woman, as a teenager. And this is what the NAACP is spending your money on. Excuse me, NAACP. Excuse me, NAACP. What about police genocide? How much money do y'all spend on the Image Awards? Because you're using the Image Awards to destroy the image of black people. I hope you know this. Can somebody please tell the National Association for the Advancement of Certain Light-Skinned Colored People that the NAACP Image Awards is destroying the image of black people? That's what you're doing. Promoting this type of stuff in front of our children, you're destroying. I thought you were a civil rights organization. So you mean to tell me childhood transgenderism is more important than police brutality? Childhood transgenderism is more important than mass incarceration. Childhood transgenderism is more important than gentrification, homelessness, economic apartheid, black on black genocide, all the problems we got. And you decide to highlight this. This is exactly why the NAACP gets no respect. Let's look at what Gabrielle Union had to say. Sister Gabrielle, you said, quote, "Will we fight for some, or will we fight for all of our people? Will we fight for some, or will we fight for all of our people?" Our sister Gabrielle Union begged the question during her acceptance speech, will we fight for some, or will we fight for all of our people? Let me answer that, my beautiful African sister. We fight for all of our people. We fight for their right to live. We fight for their right to work. We fight for their right to get an education. We fight for their right to have a decent life. We fight for their right to practice their African culture and their customs. We fight for their right to be protected from violence. We do not fight for the right of children to transform themselves into the opposite sex. We don't fight for that. We don't fight for that. And what you're not going to do, Gabrielle Union, NAACP, Dwayne Wade, or anybody else, is try to equate the fight for black equality and survival with an acceptance for transgenderism amongst children who have no business making those decisions in the first place. You have lost your mind if you think we're going to sit by and let you eclipse all of the real problems we have as black people in this country right now. We are catching hell in every area possible, and you think you're going to pull the Barack Obama. You think we're going to let you pull the Barack Obama. Barack Obama took LGBT issues and eclipsed everything else that mattered in black America. Joe Biden took black LGBTQ issues and covered up everything else that matters in black America. And now the NAACP Image Awards with Gabrielle and Dwayne, you think you're going to take this issue of childhood transgenderism. I can't even believe I need to say those words. I can't believe that black America has allowed those two words to marry each other. I'm so distraught and disappointed in us as a people, because this is not just Dwayne and Gabrielle. You got Negroes, not just LGBTQs either. You got black people running around thinking this is cute. Think it is cute to dress your sons up as little girls. Think it is cute to dress your girls up as little boys. This is destruction of the black family. This is genocide of the African race. The reason they want our children to transgenderize themselves, the reason they want our children to transgenderize themselves, the reason they want our children to transgenderize themselves is it will eliminate and prevent the birthing of new black life. How can we not understand that? How can we not understand that? A sex change for a child? A sex change for a child? A sex change for a child? And we wonder why God don't help black people. We wonder why God don't help black people. Are you telling me that you go to sleep at night and you think God is okay with this decision? You're out of your mind. You're out of your mind. I'm sorry. White America does not dictate the family values of black America. White society does not dictate the family values of black society. This is wrong. It is humane. It is child abuse, and it is a crime against humanity. Allowing transgenderism amongst children is a crime against humanity, and I do not support it. What would America do if they found out a black country somewhere was letting children mutilate their genitalia? They would call it a human rights crime, wouldn't they? But now that America is doing it, it's acceptable. Now that America is doing it, it's acceptable. They'll go to a country that practice childhood mutilation, and it is wrong, where they remove certain parts of the woman's reproductive anatomy. It is wrong. And I condemn any African who engages in such a ridiculous European practice that was introduced by our enslavers and colonizers. It is wrong. But how does America, with a straight face, go into an African country and say mutilating the genitalia of little girls is wrong when you will turn around and let them do it right here in your own country and call it transgenderism, and all of a sudden it's acceptable? And all of a sudden, it's acceptable. This is wrong. I'm not wishing nobody no harm. I don't wish harm against nobody. But this is wrong. And to elevate this kind of psychopathology to the level of a human rights champion, human rights issue, human rights campaign is ridiculous. All we're doing is campaigning for the destruction of the black family. All we're doing is campaigning for the extermination of African life. All we're doing is complaining for African racial genocide. Childhood transgenderism is genocide. Can't you see the reason they want the children transgenderized as children is if they can clip their ability to reproduce as children, they'll never have to worry about them having babies as adults.